I believe the phrase Joe Rogan used was cognitively limited.
If Dave Rubin is cognitively limited, then I will do a slightly different impression. Dave needs to stop plagiarizing my impersonation of him.
Right.
I'm putting Dave Rubin on notice to stop stealing my impression of him for his talking points.
It really is. Like, it's blatant.
It's incredible.
He's completely stealing your shtick.
All he does is do my shtick as himself.
It's nuts.
At least do your own shtick, not an impersonation of your shtick.
Get your own personhood or whatever.
Yeah, Jesus.
Crazy.
Become your own person. Don't just do the person that I'm making fun of you being. You know, my thing that I always go like, well, I'm interested in ideas and, I'm interested in ideas.
Stefan Molyneux.
Yeah, the way you build bridges is you have Tommy Robinson on. You go like, really? The Muslims have their own quarter of the city?
And why would the far left let you just be and let you live a little bit,
I don't
Tommy?
understand. They don't want you to talk about the brain
They don't want you to be part of this new center we're building.
There's this new center where people talk about terrorizing migrants off the coast of the Aegean. Is that how you say it? Aegean. That's a fun word. Like, it's fun.
This is the marketplace of ideas,
Dave. Marketplace of ideas. Dave, like, you can go do your thing and you can, be a bagman and idiot for the worst interests in the world, from corporations to oligarchy to racism, we can make fun of you.
It's not personal. We're just scrutinizing ideas.
It's not personal. I'm just really interested in the ideas. All right, that's a really disturbing freeze frame there. Let's keep playing.
It is.
I mean, but I guess maybe if your grandparents had an oil company and they lost, but I guess the left would like that because they like when dukes and barons gamble away their fortunes at casinos.
The only way,
Maldives. That's what being a leftist
the only way I can conceive of an older generation having more material wealth than younger generation is some sort of weird oil baron scenario.
I always try to be fair, so I always ask Ben Shapiro about the oil barons. Well, I mean, Bolsonaro's idea is that people like he would prefer to have his son be hit by a car than be gay. And,
Rubin,
I don't need to shut down his idea.
Having the same conversation you had with Ben Shapiro, like, would you come to my?
I'm
having a party with my partner to celebrate our anniversary.
So, Gyro, would you come to my anniversary party? Like, no, I will take your support for killing indigenous people on YouTube, but I'm afraid I cannot go to your anniversary party. It's against my values. Oh, okay.
Bolsonaro.
It's so great that we could exchange these ideas. That is incredible. Like, can we just let that sink in for a sec? Like, libertarian thinking is so delusional and so magical. And again, we're the ones who are always talking about the endless crimes and atrocities of the U.S. government. But the idea that you could just say, like, I mean, the government, the government is the IRS and the Holocaust. Like, the government is food stamps in the Weimar Republic. The government is the South African Liberation Constitution and the coup in Chile. It's the government.
Within 6 months, Dave Rubin will call himself begrudgingly pro-life.
I was talking with Bo Snodderoo.
I saw another video that made me decide that there was a state senator who presented a bill I didn't like, and therefore women don't have autonomy over their bodies. I was forced into this position.
Did you see
like
this clip?
Who comes up with their positions on this based upon this?
Did you see this
Who
clip
is in any way anything but disingenuous?
Of this sign language interpreter for the city council in Tulsa? That's pretty bad stuff. I think I can't support legal abortions anymore.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know, because there's a lot of ideas on my channel. I'm not getting it. I'm drawing it big. Hey, Dennis, by the way, I say that as a gay person. There you go, kid. Keep it up, you dumb little fuck.
What's fascinating about this, too, I mean, aside from the fact that Rubin realizes that it's not just himself who's using his identity to sell a bill of goods, that others are exploiting him too.
Hello.
Yeah, and there may be some big purchases.
Do you have those bulk purchasing deals?
But that's pretty good.
Seems to me that abortion, I've thought about it intellectually, and it's wrong.
Right.
Do you have a bulk purchasing deal?
Oh, that was the other thing, is that, Dave, would you mind sending me a heads up on when you're going to announce that you're fully now anti-abortion?
This would be the closest equivalent I could think of is if somebody flew me to go to North Korea, or I just did like a North Korean YouTube propaganda video, and I was just like, people are really interested in ideas and collectivizing the means of production, and then I get a letter, and I'm like, Kim Jong-un? Well, I don't really know much. I have to do more research, but I've heard that he's taking a lot of land away from the rich people, which I like.
And he was really good about stepping over.
They did not
South Korea.
Empire.
Yeah,
Like the South
just
Korean
really
guy
kicking
didn't
into-
walk
Yeah.
over the line there. He stepped over, which I think is pretty cool.
He's
That's good.
really kicking it into gear with the piece and the weapons. So I don't know enough, but
He's
I
got great
think
public
He's
transportation.
got great public transportation, but so I think he's actually he's doing a really good job. But I would have
Really
to
good
learn
job.
more.
But I don't know.
But I don't know.
I don't know.
Kim Suil.
The positive
There's
or
a couple
negative.
of 19-year-old chronic masturbators who game and think black people are
But
genetically inferior.
I think it's
He could open
unfair
up the whole field.
of Dave to say to thank Media Matters, Vox, and HuffPo for two reasons.
I don't think Candace Owens is convincing to her own family. I think what's great is this is just the way every time in these clips, Dave Rubin always has this little bit of like, ooh, it doesn't exactly sound right. It sounds like you're saying I'm a complete empty vessel who's only useful for my identity and pretending to be something I'm not. Is that you wouldn't be saying that? Would
I'm
you,
gonna go read
Dennis?
Kierkegaard.
And he used to be for single payer until he found out that was at odds with the smaller government.
There was other, but then I read.
I didn't realize that. I
3
didn't
o'clock at night.
I didn't dig into that whole.
I was
single
in a
payer.
really serious. I was at
I
a
thought
John Stuart Mill marathon, and I was thinking so hard because I was just engaging in the ideas, and then it just.
My buddy Brett was telling me that Evergreen State is making conservative students turn in their phones at the beginning of the semester.
to impress them. There's so many different ways that you can filter. You can write my name to filter people out. Samuel Cedar. Samuel Cedar, one word. Samuel Lincoln Cedar.
I think we got to
Sam L.
We
Cedar.
need to go to the mattresses because I'm going to do a stream on why video games improve cognitive performance and lesbians don't like them. And there's going to be a lot of people
can spell
harassing us.
Cedar with 2 E's. You could do Sam Cedar, one word, and spell it with 2 E's.
You are such,
E-A-D.
you're such an irritant.
Have you heard about the SJW nonsense on the?
Maybe we can learn how to spell
Yeah, can we say Sam?
All right, so that's all I'm saying.
Sam dollar
This is-
sign.
This is the end of my public service announcement for Dave Rubin. I'm really actually, like, it's exhausting having to do this much work on behalf of Dave when I feel like it's not reciprocal.
It's like, well, if I ask Marianne what she means by that, what if all of a sudden 2 minutes later I'm saying Amazon and blah, blah, blah?
Well, because he's finally got a Democrat to sit down with him after the Buttigieg thing fell through, after everyone scolded his social media guy for saying, like, we'll talk.
Bad form, Buttigieg
I
guy.
gotta
Bad
be really
form.
nice.
You don't,
I'm on my best behavior with Marianne.
right. Okay, Marianne Williamson's here. We don't quote. We don't. All right. No questions about phrenology.
Not going to talk about social cohesion.
Not going to talk about social cohesion. It's serious Dave time. Because I'm open-minded, and you know what's great about this? And again, no shade on Marianne Williamson, but we're gonna hear about this for like the next year. It's like, yeah, I know that I had the head, and I didn't even know, but you tell me he was a part of a meth lab. Like, Dave Rubin is gonna interview like the fucking head of the biker gang from Breaking Bad, who tells him that his like speech was suppressed at like a coffee shop in Albuquerque, and people go like, hey, Dave, why did you have like the white supremacist head of a meth ring? Well, I didn't exactly know, but ideas, and I had on Marianne Williamson 6 months ago. That's going to be his stand-in. You know that, right? For me, watching it as a one-trick pony with no sense of history or empathy, I found it somewhat confusing and upsetting, but I also didn't know that you were going to be talking about Marian Wright Edelman and actual policy, so I really appreciate that video exists to give me a comfortable pivot point to talk about something that doesn't require me to do any actual analysis.
Yeah, it's big of a conservative imprint to publish The Last Liberal like that too.
So big.
And I'm also impressed that he dispels pervasive myths and wage gap, gun violence, racism, affirmative action, climate change, hate crimes, and more, all in a slim 256 pages.
Don't worry, I don't need that many. Brevity is it? They said brevity.
Lengthitude is a pervasive myth. I've just debunked it.
I just debunked it.
All right, well, there it is. We can lose the jazz, the slow jazz.
I think if I remind him of his greatest modern professional accomplishment, he'll get the message to not fuck with me anymore.
I seem to have miscalculated.
Oh, no. Wait, it didn't have its intended effect on Cedar, and now I don't get to talk with Mayor Pete.
No.
I lost the battle and the war.
She's totally doing like slow student spiel with him. You see, it's like, do you realize how many people that is? And he's like, what? But I mean, isn't that kind of a slippery slope? I'm both immoral and dumb.
I just want to say, I mean, you're saying that you're saying that I'm doing it cynically, and I just want to say, actually, I really am doing it cynically. It's for me.
But I want to make it clear that I'm not doing it for your benefit. I'm a businessman.
It's like FUBU, Forrest by us. 4D by Dave.
Oh, wait a second. We shouldn't have done.
Maybe we should have said it. You sure want to say this out loud?
I'm going to take a nice long puff on this stogie while you continue to insult me to my face.
There's nothing that is more gratifying to all of us here than to see someone come into their own like you have. So
it was supposed to be after 2020.
Kudos.
My whole timeline was sped up.
Well, that's good. I mean, good for you. And you know what that means? You guys will sell a ton of books.
I don't know. I think I'm really onto something here.
I think the media does not like people who play fighting games because they've realized all their special moves, and the leftist media especially hates it when people fill up their power bar. Yeah. They do not want to see people do fatalities.
They don't want people with high power bars. I really think I'm onto something.
I think I'm onto something. People do not like people who play games like Sekiro.
How the fuck is Dave Rubin so stupid? I mean, honestly.
Walter Solzhenitsyn said that if he was alive today, he's still alive, but he would come on my show and we'd talk about the Soviet Union.
We will read from this book, and we will scrutinize every single word of it. Right. And now, Dave Rubin also, to be fair, says, wait, Dennis, you're hurting your core brand proposition by reminding people of how I make my money.
We're filming, Dennis.
Is the news thing to say this out loud now? I mean, you know better than me, but it's a little confusing.
He'll retweet those fake Planned Parenthood videos from like 4 years ago.
There'll be something like that.
Yeah, they're already like literally have led to criminal convictions, and he'll just retweet them out like, had no idea. This is really bad.
Didn't he have a book that he was writing?
Yeah,
he was writing a book, and he's probably had to rechange. He's probably had to read because 2 years ago he was writing a book. And
I couldn't work my way through the John Stuart Mill Wikipedia article.
I didn't have to do the book because I just realized I could just go to the right with my podcast.
2 years ago it was really hard because it was like, I haven't read a whole book on ideas and freedom. And then all of a sudden it was just like, hey, I'm gay, but I support fascists. And all of it just came along.
I remember the day I realized that I could support total intellectual freedom and be against a woman's sovereignty over her own body. And that was the day I realized I can quadruple my revenue year over year if I can just invite on a couple more people to the right.
Yeah, I live in this stuff. I think about ideas all the time. And one of the ideas I encountered that really disturbed me was this clip of an assistant toll meter made in Milwaukee saying that mothers should be able to actually kill their kids 6 months after birth. Are any Democrats going to speak out on this?
I did a classic 80-20 analysis of what I was doing and decided I'm not going to be pro-choice anymore.
Well, it's weird.
Ideas.
Because like when he says it's getting harder and harder to even say abortion is okay at all, what's happening in his brain?
That is amazing, though. It's like, so it's like, yeah, because the suffragettes, they all went down the street and they were smoking cigarettes. And that was kind of cool, right?
So what you're saying
I saw that picture.
Is the suffragettes prove that everyone's just too consumed in politics these days. Yeah, good takeaway.
It's like, no, so Marianne Williamson, her whole point about the abolitionist movement was that people are too wrapped up in identity politics.
That was just 5 minutes in, too. So.
Oh my God. He's so fucking stupid.
All right, what's the over and under that this just devolves to a Chris Matthews impression contest? Chris Matthews, though, you can go back. He's one of these like, you don't always agree, but George Bush, he's in the cowboy boots, and he is who he is.
Yes.
And Al Gore is always, 1 month it's technology, now he's a friend of the workers. Who is he? And Matthews has this like little look on his face, like a little bunny, and he's just like, oh my God, I'm thinking something. I'm thinking something. Look at it. It's right there. I'm thinking something. I shouldn't say it, but I want to say it, but I'm on MSNBC. What am I going to do? Oh my God, what am I going to do? Tulsi Gabbard. Raisins. Actually, he was enormously well behaved, I have to say, by his standards. Could very easily see like him becoming why don't people vote for fucking Tulsi Gabbard? Jesus Christ, the pure, sheer human beauty. Do you remember when he got caught on tape, hot mic, talking about how hot Melania was? First, he said that she wants like a model.
Right. That seems
which
perfectly,
we caught.
Right.
And that's innocuous enough.
And then later he says, I could watch that for like all day.
Yeah. And is it confirmed as to who was saying that? Was it one of those guys who work in the back?
Oh my God. It's amazing.
Well, now
This woman's practically giving me a heart attack.
Now, listen, I want to offer the benefit of the doubt here. It's very possible Chris Matthews is a huge fan of shows like Project Runway, and he goes to
Tim Gunn.
He's a very
brilliant. Oh, Melania, that being from another realm, yet the perfection of this realm.
Oh my God.
So it's almost like he gets like the pat on the head from Joe, and he's all like a big happy dog. And then Mika gives him a little frown. He goes, "Oh, okay. I want to talk about Bobby Kennedy. I'm sorry." Barack put a thrill at my leg, and this is putting a sensation down my abdomen. It's totally overwhelming. They would be very different lovers, but good in their own individual ways. Oh, God. Available for hardball still.
right. I was going to say.
Kerry would be selfish. Donald would talk a lot, maybe deliver very little. But Melania and Barack, I mean, you just know. Oh, my God. I can literally watch this all day.
Oh, my God.
I might need to take a break just because of physical demands.
I'm just sitting here watching my, just watching me lose a job.
Yeah. Oh my God. This pure descent of the divine goddess.
Oh my God.
Thank you. Oh Lord.
I had actually blotted that out of
You know
my
how
memory.
George Harrison sang My Sweet Lord when he became a Hare Krishna? That's me when I see this Melania. Oh, Hare Krishna. My sweet Lord.
I mean,
Maybe Matthews has been compromised. If you can promise me one night with that angelic being who fuses the sensuous and the spiritual in one unearthly yet so earthly body, Russia can run the country for all I care. I put in my work. Tip is dead. It isn't like it used to be anymore. George W. Bush isn't complimenting me on my scarves.
give us the signal by having David Ignatius repeat Russia, 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 Russia all over again
understand what you're
on tonight's
saying.
broadcast.
What are you saying, David? I can't follow it.
Could you just repeat? Could you repeat that over and over?
Would you repeat that? They can imagine Ignatius like, sure, I will do that.
Oh, yeah.
Russia, 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 Russia.
You know, when there is a lot of a noise versus signal, redundancy is really important. So I think that's what Ignatius was trying to do there.
Gina said that she regrets torturing those people and putting them under freezing water and simulating drowning and putting electroshocks to their testicles. And I just feel really glad about it now. So I'm going to flip my vote. Time will tell. Maybe she'll be torturing Arabs in Langley again, or maybe she won't. I mean, whatever. But I think we're doing a lot of good things. More people are objectively poor. We're giving a lot of money away to rich people. So things are great.
Oh, my God. I hate to do this, but I mean, his old, like, honorable crackpot bigot dad would never flip on those votes.
What's that?
I mean, I'm not usually generally a huge fan of black people voting, but I just think that, you know, we oughtn't tell them they can't vote. Maybe we could distract them by offering them cigarettes or something. I mean, that's constitutional. Constitution.
There you are.
That's my Rand Paul. Constitution.
Constitution.
I should tell you, folks, that's we got that on Rand Paul. See if we can blast that out. I didn't realize we had Rand Paul on the phone.
I can't even believe Rand Paul has the balls to record this in 2018 after voting on the tax bill. Like, are you serious?
Well, I think taxes are a little different because you got to give people their money. And, you know, there's a lot of white people that need money. And there's a lot of rich people that, like, you know, I've talked to constituents, and I feel this way personally, like, every time you show a story or in the news where I'm like reminded that, as an example, like a poor person might have access to a computer or a house, I just get so upset that it could have been used to buy like a fifth lawnmower.
Constitution.
There you are.
And Rand Paul's like, oh, not only will I use that word, but I will actually compare my narcissistic desire to deny medical care to poor people to the same thing. So that in his mind, like Rand Paul's glory moment is refusing to remove a kid's tonsils. Rand Paul's like liberation struggle is like, I know that child has a broken femur, but I will not treat them. It is slavery. And you want to put all of my office into slavery as well. He's like, look, we have more important things to do, like make sure people don't have health care and take people out of their homes. I mean, I didn't become elected to the Senate to investigate espionage. I did it to make black kids poorer. I think it can totally work. There'd probably be less Jews that would go into teaching because they're too sensitive to handle firearms. But, you know, why you want your kids learning from Jews anyways? Can I be president? It's been a long, arduous process. Also, the teachers would have to take loans, no doubt. But just the notion that you might have a black person go in your waiting room and say, I demand care. It just sends shivers down your spine. And then you turn around and all of a sudden there's some Indian guy who looks like Deepak Chopra or whatever, and he's practicing medicine. I mean, it's dystopic.
It's interesting that he both sounded like he was willing to negotiate with Paul Ryan, and then at the end seemed like all I want is the tax cuts, that it would come from the repeal.
I'm willing to negotiate if we can get to a point where there is zero, even hypothetical access for less than wealthy people to have health care, and we give even more money away. Speaking of credit where credit is due, here's Rand Paul. I feel bad doing that impression now. Jews. But I still will do it because, I mean, fuck him anyway. Oh, I see what you did there, you Jew. You took the point that I was making about the rest pools, and then you just expanded it.
Everybody knows that 1 million people is better for 100 than 100,000 people for a risk pool, and 100,000 is better than 4 people. But you have to stop at 1 million.
If you don't stop at 1 million.
You know why? Because it's virtually impossible to count above 1 million on your fingers.
And then you just become Venezuela, and it's just a really bad deal.
If we have Medicare for all, it would be... Oof.
Then all of a sudden we wouldn't have money to shoot grizzly bears at schools.
Plumbing. Well, that's an interesting specific. I would say yes. I don't know if that usually comes as a standalone.
You have the right to a supercharged plumber or plunger.
Yeah. That means you can go into the store, apprehend a plunger without paying for it, and then hold the entire Home Depot aisle hostage and turn them into slaves. Do you have a letter from the king authorizing this act of acquisition?
There's an underground railroad of doctors fleeing Canada coming into the United States.
Like, oh, Lord, I've been marching on my feet for days.
He does like these new spirituals. Just like,
like, you can force me to vaccinate a child, but you will not break my spirit. We're going, Lord, to the underground railroad where we will be free.
the guy's like, you will give the polio vaccine to that young man, boy.
No.
You let him hide out in your like secret cubbyhole, and he starts arguing about the non-aggression principle. It's like, get the fuck out.
Yeah,
of here.
right.
Same with Dave Rubin. If you can make a living, get paid by all these institutions without having an outdo influence, without hoodwinking people like Sam Harris into thinking that guys that Tommy Robinson's a good guy.
He seemed reasonable from everything that I heard.
Yeah.
I have not heard all of Adolf Hitler's interviews. I heard one and the plans for the Autobahn where he was making a lot of good noises, but I've been smeared.
Sam Harris was just talking about ideas, and he was smeared as anti-Muslim by the SJW left.
Actually, to be honest, Sam Harris is to George Bush's right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to smear George W. Bush. He came out right after September 11th and said, basically, it's like, leave Muslims alone, and Islam is a religion of peace.
Look, Sam, we're gonna police them. Just cool it with some of the rhetoric, okay, buddy?
Look, I know what more Sam wants for bombing like 6 different countries simultaneously and killing people who have nothing to do with it. But because I'm not going up on national television and saying that Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas, this Golden Girls Trust Fund baby's having a conniption. Why don't you take a chill pill, Sam?
Scientific data can't be racist.
Actually, if you look at the mismeasure of man, I read a third of an assignment of before passing out drunk. Actually, sort of.
All of a sudden, we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
You mean like the guys in the Budweiser commercials or the Geico ads? Jesus Christ, why do people like this guy? What a pain in the ass. You know, that's actually... That was what made George W. Bush so likable, was that there was a part of his personality where you really did feel like he'd probably bully Sam Harris and it would be cool.
Yeah.
That was why he was cool. That was why people liked George W. Bush.
He was drunkenly dancing at the funeral for that Dallas cop that was...
Yeah, like getting red. They're just like, come on, Michelle. Come on. You want, candy.
Am I going to be the only one dancing at this?
Get it. First, there's one valuable thing that came out of this, which is the new sound drop. Now we can't talk about Neanderthals anymore, which we'll be using liberally.
It's like, now, predictably, Glenn Greenwald, The Guardian, and the entire left smeared me, had this hysterical response.
So that's the play. What is another person?
Yeah, and the pretentious, like, music and, like, yeah. I just imagine he's got like some friend who's like a professor that he's calling, and the professor's like, Sam, please stop calling that skull shape. I have for you. Okay, but I'm just asking a question.
I'll just do, Sam Harris Islam talk right now, which is, it's a manifesto. It exists. You can read it. He stated his own beliefs. These things are all readily available for anybody to read if they want to read. So we just announced a new drone program in Pakistan. That'd be funny. It's somehow if like Sam is calling him to whine. Because you could see like with Obama, it would just be, I think what Sam misses is that we need to build bridges in order to deal with the problem. Yeah. And then it would just be like, somehow George Bush would be like, so we just set off a brand new drone program in Pakistan, but I'm guessing you have a problem. I didn't say something about a thought experiment on national television in order to encourage yahoos to harass people who own 7-Elevens. Go ahead, Sam, bother me with your nonsense. It's actually a great character. Just George W. Bush harass George W. Bush dealing with Sam Harris.
Sam, I can just go to John Bolton if I want to hear about somebody talk about nuking Muslim communities.
Yeah, and at least she's a little bit animated. And doesn't think that having a 14-year-old's view of religion makes him a great intellect. Shut up, Sam.
You go and have your argument with Cenk Uygur.
I was really stimulating. I really love the way you used the nuclear football's thought experiment to say what you already said in the beginning, but pretend it was a hypothetical so you didn't have the balls to back up your actual position. Well done, Sam.
I mean, Sam Harris would be a lot more likable, I mean, though no less despicable, if he was the reverse, if he was genuinely scientifically sound and a white supremacist. Like if he was just like, the data just doesn't, imagine he's like with Richard Spencer and he's just like, Richard, I would love to live in a society where I never had to listen to rap music or see basketball again. Okay, that is my normative preference. But if you look at what Nisbet is saying about IQ, the data isn't there. This doesn't account for the Flynn effect. We need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Okay, let's say disaster. IQ, it's been mapped. And black people are not only athletically superior, they're also intellectually and morally superior. Okay, they're better at solving math problems. What then? Does that mean our commitment to a white ethno-state is any less valid? Of course not. We need to be prepared for these contingencies. That's the more full, honest Sam Harris I would like to see.
So then you have a case like Harriet Beecher Stowe. Or no, that would actually that would be the Sam Harris, right? It's like, I mean, then you have Harriet Beecher Stowe, and of course I condemn the Ku Klux Klan, but she's the moral equivalent of the Ku Klux Klan. Man, if all of these people were on Twitter at the time, all of their feeds would literally just be slavery should end, but like Lincoln is divisive. Harriet Beecher Stowe is an SJW. Is Frederick Douglass secretly a Mohammedan? that would be the whole fucking feed. I mean, there's a lot of, I understand Frederick Douglass making a lot of the right noises, but I have a lot of concern about what it actually means when the Negro actually is in the main house. And I shouldn't be condemned for saying that. Civil War era Sam Harris.
Oh, man.
Right.
There's definitely a guy that is just that literally existed back then that was doing just that.
Totally. And that's what they're doing.
My racial paranoia is perfectly justifiable along rational lines.
Right. No. You're not understanding. They put the brain. They had people from Africa that they put in a zoo and they observed them for science. You can't argue with facts.
I get that slavery is bad, but on one hand, we have an escaped slave that cut the throat of a young farmer girl. And what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so in other words, we need to take this seriously, okay? Nat Turner hurt a lot of people. People that were offering to give him water. Okay, so in other words, I agree with you. Slavery is wrong. But if we don't deal with the fact that Nat Turner led an uprising, then we're not being morally serious.
Do you want another Haiti here?
And he got a backlash. He was embarrassed. So he wrote, judging, and this is what his addendum to his email dump. Judging from the response to this post on social media, my decision to publish these emails appears to have backfired. I was relying on leaders to follow the plot and notice Ezra's evasiveness and gaslighting. Whatever, read it for yourself. E.g., his denial of misrepresentation of slurs in the very article he published. Many people seem to have judged from his politeness that Ezra was the one behaving honestly and ethically. This is frustrating, to say the least.